The floor is yours.
Thanks. Right. Well, the food design world is vast, so I have narrowed down my niche to just these micro startup businesses. They're typically one person, usually a woman. They have limited startup capital, limited time and resources, but they have a great idea. In New Zealand, we don't have the population really to support thriving street food vendors or some way of usually one person making money. So we have to make products which can be transported to sites to be sold. And in New Zealand, it costs around $200,000 to get a product in front of your customer in a meaningful way. And 90% of new businesses fail in the first year. And they're horrific statistics. So over the years where I've been working with companies, I've come up with a sort of strategic planning role. And I embed a framework of sustainable thinking and practice into their product. So it happens before or alongside, say, a lean business canvas or any other startup model, but I really focus on the maker and the product. And the questions I ask lead to sort of a holistic, sustainable thinking. So environmental, economic, social, financial, and cultural sustainability. Now, I do have, can I share a screen? Yes, I can share a screen.
Sure, go ahead. You can, Jane.
Right. Let's see if we can get that up. Right, hang on.
You're sharing a video or a presentation, Jane?
A presentation.
Presentation, so, perfect.
Presentation, I hope you can see this is a map, a road map.
Yep.
Right.
We don't see the presentation yet.
Ooh. Okay, hang on. We'll get out of this then. And back to Zoom. Okay. Well, that makes a difference really, because I have a mapping system and a connection to a whiteboard.
Was the issue you cannot share the presentation, or you don't find the presentation?
It's, let's see, it's a, ooh.
Take your time. It is no worries. Take your time and find the presentation. We're in a live event. It's what time is it in New Zealand, by the way, Jane?
7:15 at night.
At night, yeah, it's too late for you then. I understand. So take your time, get your presentation, and share it with us. We are
so the presentation is on Miro whiteboard. So maybe if I put the link in the
or maybe you want to share that particular, instead of sharing your screen, you share the browser, just the browser, because I guess it's an application you enter with your browser, your regular browser, right?
Yes.
So
right.
so
if I
go ahead.
If I paste, if I paste that, can everyone see there's a link in the chat?
Yes, we can. Yes, sure.
Right. If people click onto that, they should still be able to hear me.
Yes, but I'm going to ask my colleagues to post the link in the YouTube channel,
right.
Because this chat is just for us, for the participants,
okay,
and the organizers. But don't worry, we're gonna share it. You don't worry. Go ahead.
So I'd actually set this up so that it was able to be accessed and that people could add to the whiteboard. So at the moment, it is just a roadmap and a list of questions. So this actually makes it a little more difficult. So I guess I will just have to talk about the sorts of questions that I ask, really. So, hadn't planned for this, but anyway, my mapping system has been based on years of working with businesses, and the biggest problem that most small businesses face is distraction. You know, they're like focused on their idea and then someone suggests something and they're all over the place, and it just drains your energy and takes away from your product. So I start by asking about the person who's making the product. How much time do they have? Where do they see their product being sold? What resources and skills do they have? And then I move on to just a simple one word, basically a category. What type of product do they think they want to make? Then move on to origin. This is kind of the history of the product or its major ingredients, but it's also sometimes in a chain of history. It's been used for hundreds of years, or maybe the product has different variations in different countries. And really that's looking at where you're sitting in the world of food. Then innovation. How are you rethinking something that already exists? Because there are just too many indifferent products in the world. Right. The map then goes on to economics, the kind of impact you want to have. So not always about your own financial gain. Sometimes you create a product for social impact. Then the map goes on to balance, which is thinking about, are you giving as much thought to your product coming in or your ingredients coming in and your product going out? Transparency, that's clear, open, understood. Do you understand the ingredients? Do they know the ins and outs of their supply chain? Curiosity, which is just about delving deep. It's where do you get your knowledge? Can you apply something you've learned from a different field, from art or technology? Can you apply that to food? And circularity, it's about what's seen, what's unseen, what the connection is. And it's, does your product fit with the impact you want it to have? What areas does it link to? You know, how are you thinking about your whole system of where your product sits? I've found that this map, just going back, looking through it, delving deep with my clients, seems to bring out a lot of answers, which kind of gives their story a whole lot more depth, but it also points out any gaps they might have. So it really strengthens their product, and which means that they have a better chance of making a success of it. And so if the link is shared on YouTube, people will be able to go on and access that.
Yeah, exactly. It's in YouTube. They're entering. Many people is entering to your whiteboard.
Really? I was kind of worried that maybe only one person might.
No, we are live, and lots of people from around the world are watching us. Yang, I have a question for you, Yang, because
yes.
You are applying. I mean, it's very common to apply this kind of methodologies to startups, but I wonder if you also help small businesses, family businesses, farmers, because it's very hard to teach this food design methodology to these small businesses. It is easier to apply this methodology to startups and corporates. How do you do that with small businesses and farmers? Do you do that in New Zealand?
I only work with small businesses. I don't do any of this with your regular startups. This is all about people with very little money. So what they have is time, so they can do a lot of thinking, and it's very one-on-one usually, where I spend time, we talk through the questions, we expand their thinking about their product and about how they operate in the food world.
How do you overcome the barrier of this resistance to innovate of the small businesses? They are very focused on surviving. Yeah, exactly. So paying someone to get help to innovate is like a luxury thing for them, right? Yeah. So how do you overcome that?
Sometimes every year I choose one. I have one company that I work for. I work this part of the system for free for them. Others, it depends. I kind of work out what they can afford. Sometimes something like this isn't hugely expensive, so we can maybe pay it off in installments so that they can have this knowledge. Sometimes if I feel like I'm really connecting with the product and the people, I might look at other ways that I can bring value. So I'm at the moment working with a lovely micro distillery, and I'm planning workshops for them.
I was asking that specific and concrete actions that you really feel you're proud of, right? Can you share some specific outcomes and actions that you feel proud of?
Oh, I am so proud of a bean to bar chocolate company that I worked with, who went from the inkling of an idea and making some chocolate at home to doing 4 years later, doing a public launch, share. So it's owned by, they've got sort of 3 million owners, shareholders. So it's become a big company. So I'm really proud of that. And I'm proud of this micro distillery I'm working with, they've got this brilliant idea of using surplus bread that usually goes to landfill, and they're turning it into alcohol. So their environmental stand is fantastic. And so, yeah, why wouldn't you be proud of someone who does that?
Thank you very much, Jane. Your time is up. And we thank you for sharing your amazing and lovely experience in New Zealand. Thank you for being with us, Jane. See you.
Thank you.